Welcome back. You're listening to Home Wizards. I'm Cindy Dole.
Hey, I'm Eric Stromer.
And we love that shine bright like a diamond. We're talking about we're talking about shining bright because, well, let's talk about lighting. And you have a chandelier in your dining room family area.
I do, and it's beautiful. It's kind of a vintage chandelier with crystals, and it kind of dresses up a kitschy sort of farm table and ends up looking really cool with the different design styles clashing together.
I love it. It is. It's very vintagey, very eclectic, very cool. I remember growing up with a classic crystal chandelier that my mom and dad had in our formal dining room, and that just always left a memory for me that having some kind of a chandelier. Just, I don't know, it just speaks to me as that's tradition, you know. But then as I've evolved, and I think that as your taste kind of grows as you grow, as your experiences kind of change you as you walk through this adventure of life, you know, there's so many different kinds of chandeliers that don't have to be formal at all and don't even have to be store-bought, right?
Yeah, and not only that, but it kind of creates, a formal space where you know this is where we're going to gather as a family. You know, this is where we spend traditional family time together.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
And so that unifying quality that a quote-unquote chandelier can bring, we thought we'd talk about different ways that you can literally do it yourself, different kinds of chandeliers. Now, before you start to say, wait a minute, why don't I just buy one? What the heck, why bother to make one? You know, you could buy one and forget about making it. But the thing is, there's also so many different creative ways you could assemble one. If you have a little bit of a handy-dandy DNA in you, and even not, we're going to walk you through some of the different the ones that we've come across that are fashionable and fun.
Yeah, and then just conceptually too, there are these kits that are sold at the big box stores or your local hardware store that will convert pretty much anything you can think of into a light source. Mm-hmm. So this is where we're kind of speaking to you guys as DIYers. If you want to take, different elements that you love the look of, you can in fact turn them into light sources, and these are the creative ways to do it.
Yeah, it's basically a pendant light kit, right?
That's right.
And and it's like $10, and you can attach that, So and there's different varieties of it. So let's talk about some of the different ways you could make your own chandelier. And again, hang in there. You can do this.
Hey, now.
Come on, let's try one. So one that I like. I hope that you like it, Eric, is where you use basically a metal basket that you would typically see at a garden center and that you would use to hang plants in. Now, this is going to be your frame for a chandelier. Are you with me?
Got it. I'm with you.
A metal planter basket. And maybe
I love it.
You love it. You don't even know. You're just saying you love it.
Just keep going. I'm with you. Here I go.
It. How many cups of coffee are you drinking? All right.
17.
You love it. All right. I love it too. So basically, and the fun thing is you can see a lot of different success stories on Pinterest, and that's where we got a lot of our ideas to compare with things that we've tried ourselves and what other people are doing. But this one it's basically a metal planter basket that you're going to spray paint white, and that's the frame to hang what's going to be your chandelier. So now you've got that, and you've got the light kit that you're going to put inside, right, to light it. And sometimes wouldn't you say that we could do a chandelier without any light fixture? It's just something decorative to hang from the ceiling.
Sure, especially in outdoor applications too, where you have a collection, of certain pots and plants, and then an area where you have hanging things like either bird. I saw a lot of this in Mexico, again, hanging bird cages with plants in them, or just chandeliers that have no light source but are just sort of hanging from the ceiling. It looks really pretty.
Or they have beads, right? Because we've seen, and there's some really pretty ones where you can either go to a craft store and get kind of pearly, translucent beads by the string, or you can go to some of the party stores and get, the quote-unquote Mardi Gras type beads that are in golds and reds and greens. So really, depending on what kind of style you want, you can now hang these strands of beads or anything, or pearls, or if you really feel creative, you can make shells out of wax paper.
Oh, wait a minute. No way. How do you do that?
You know how we did this together. You basically are going to cut circles out of this wax paper. Now, again, hang in there with me. This is for someone who has a little more patience, but it really looks pretty. And you can do it without any light fixture at all, but it just has this kind of a translucent, almost fairy tale look of these little circles they look like shells. And
they look like that opaque sort of translucent shell. You can actually cut it in any shape you want.
That's true.
We did it in a circle because we traced out the top of a mason jar, and we cut that perfect circle, and then you iron two pieces together, and you have what you're going to hang from your frame going through the two wax paper sides. And then it essentially is just tied to the frame, and it sort of shimmers like a sequin dress.
See, and then you hang it with ribbon. You can get some nice white or translucent kind of a ribbon, and you connect the little circles or whatever shape you want to use of the wax paper to that, and then attach it to the metal frame. And it's very flowy and artsy, I think, kind of cute and fun.
Right.
Now, let's talk about.
And let me just back you up 1 second.
Sure.
So, if you're going to do anything and hang anything from these frames that we're talking about, you're going to need a couple of supplies. So you're going to need some wire cutters. You're going to also need either baling wire or the wire that you get at craft stores that you can use to thread beads on.
Or floral wire. Floral wire. Yeah.
Depending on the look.
And the heft.
And the heft. And then your light source is going to be your pendant light kit that you can get at either like an IKEA or a big box store. And then from there, pretty much anything can be hung from the frame. Even things like we saw one that we love, which was just spoons hanging from the exterior perimeter of this round frame, and then the light source is inside of that. And you just have a bunch of old spoons that you've collected either from a garage sale or if you have some extra ones laying around. For some reason, by the way, the Stromers don't have any more spoons, and I'll tell you why. I found out just last week. I'm going through my perimeter of my lawn, trying to keep it all tidy. And my daughter creates these little fairy gardens, and out there, guess what I found?
Spoons.
Probably about 20 of them. She uses them for digging and like collecting them in a hole. So that's why I could never stir my coffee. But anyway,
that's cute.
If you have no spoons or extra spoons, then this might be the time to make the chandelier.
Yeah, and a lot of people collect spoons. I had an aunt that would collect spoons from different places all over the world when she would travel. And so instead of putting them in a frame or a little box that you put over on the wall, I think it would be great to have it as a chandelier or something more rugged. How about this for the man cave? It's basically you use those wire cages that you see a lot of times when you are out in the garage, and it's basically to hang like a workbench light. You know what I'm talking about? They're like bright yellow.
Like auto mechanic light.
Yeah, and so you can use that, and then you could then fill it in on the inside with almost like any kind of a bulb that you would like, whether it's clear or even like Christmas colored bulbs. And then now you're hanging these little yellow cages, if you will, as if it were a cluster of different heights and sizes. And it's kind of cool. It's kind of manly and rugged, I think.
Yeah, it really is. And then the way that you would do that is you would take each of the individual wires and then strip the wires and then kind of tie them all together at one source where you'll have one plug plugging into the wall. So all the lights are powered by one cord ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you can do it inexpensively, and I think it gives your space, whether it's like out in the garage or a man cave or whatever, kind of a cool industrial vibe. Now, you mentioned the mason jars, and this is another really great do-it-yourself chandelier. It's going to take a little bit more time, and you're going to need some various tools, but if you can imagine those inexpensive mason jars that can look so vintagey, especially if you find them, that have more of the aqua tone, that you can get the paint that you can kind of tint the glass or find them already that way. But then if you get a series of these different vintage mason jars and then some tube bulbs and some electrical tape and then a chain lamp kit, gorgeous, don't you think?
Yeah, and the way that you do those is that you drill a hole through the top, the soft little aluminum lid that screws down onto the top. You're puncturing a hole on the top of that, and you're threading
for the light source.
The light source is there. Yeah.
All right. Well, Eric Stormer, Cindy Dole, we are loving to help improve the spaces you call home. Check us out at yourhomewizards.com. And remember this, the key is under the mat.